Ganapatiye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Brahma Mirastriparan Takare. Banushashi Bamisuto. Buddha Guru Shukra. Shani Rahu Keteva. Sarve Graha Shantikara Bhavantu. Om Hrim Gurave Namaha. And greetings and welcome to another episode of Cosmic Kev 100. This is your weekly Astro Video Zine where we come on pretty much every Friday. I've had some interruptions in the last couple of months due to personal issues, but you know, things are getting better every day and largely because of you and your support. So I encourage you to subscribe, hit the like button. I love your comments. Keep them coming, folks. I love to hear from you. I know my new Pisces friend and Shannon has energy. I just want to give you a shout. I don't think I've given you folks a shout yet. And to everyone else who's tuning in, my faithful friends like Michelle and Melissa and my cousin Erica up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. All you folks, let's keep it coming. Anyhow, this is for Friday the 23rd of February through the 29th of February, this Thursday. And so what do we got going on? Well, right now, today, we have the moon in Leo about to go into Virgo. So I'm going to just use the Virgo moon for today. And one of the things about this particular moon is that it is in, it's going to be in a lunar mansion known as Maga. So if it was a little bit like a rough start to your morning or whatever, that's understandable. Last night, early this morning, we're talking Friday now, the moon was in the Gandanta between a water sign, which was the Ashlesha portion of Cancer, moving it forward to the moon of the Petries, the moon of the ancestors, which is Maga, which is going to be full at 4:30 in the morning on Saturday the 24th. Now, the Ashlesha moon is smart, it's intelligent, and it's about liberation, and it's basically about getting liberated from your passions. And Ashlesha, you've learned all about the passions, and it's like you're getting liberated from that. But in Maga, you're learning about your dharma, like what your appropriate action is, what you're here to make in the world. And so this is, and it is honoring the ancestors, and Maga is the throne room. It is the royal place where important decisions are made. And my best analysis for Maga nakshatra is really the King Arthur story of the sword and the stone. It's like all these strong men could not lift that stone out of the anvil, but this one young lad is able to get up there, and with ease, you know, the heavens open up and he's able to lift it up. He puts it back in there and the strong man still can't get it out. And then once again he goes and he takes it. And at that point, you know, this man is appointed. He's appointed to be our leader. And allegedly he started Camelot in this, you know, incredible time in Britain where things are good. And so we can think of it in those terms. Now, one of the symbols is a palanquin. And a palanquin is one of those thrones that is paraded in a parade where a dignitary is in. And they often have one big bamboo rod or, you know, a couple of bamboo rods. And these bamboo rods are significant of the 7 chakras, the nodules in that rod, and that we're supposed to lift up our spine. Like every morning, I do those salutes to the sun, because I'm a Leo. I'm a Maga rising, folks. And this way, you are able to channel that appropriate energy of the ancestors. And some people think ancestral lines are not important. Let me tell you, the line of King David was certainly important in Judah, in the tribe of Judah, to have Jesus come into the world, folks. I'm going to say that, and your lineage is important. There's a legacy to it, and we can do ancestral healing. I'm going to, you know, I can comment on that. Some people don't want to do that. You can do it your way. Everything's fine. I'm not here to dictate. But since this full moon is about the Petries and the ancestors, and before we had any religion, that's all we had was our knowledge of our forefathers and people, and we want to bring out the best qualities. Many of them took incredible risks for you to have the good life you have now. Some of you had less than appropriate parental experiences, but it is the karma of what you need to go through. And anything that's a disappointment in our life, it's really God teaching us, that you can make it better. Don't do this to other people rather than do it to other people because you had it done to you. And sometimes it takes a long time to learn that. It takes a long time to unravel our hurts till we become the healer rather than the herder. And K2, south node of the moon, is about gut feeling. It's about your intuition. It's a body that has no head. And it's also the first planet on a cycle. Like when we do dasha cycles, K2 is really the leading, because when we go through the zodiac, what's the first nakshatra? It's Ashvini Aries, which is ruled by K2. What's the first one? Fire sign always starts with K2. So Maga for Leo. And then when we get to the Sagittarius, it's K2 for Mula Nakshatra. So we're getting to really deep stuff, to the root of things, to the foundation of things. And to move forward in the tamas, the material world, we have to have a good foundation. And we want it to be blessed by royalty, by the Most High. And so on this Maga full moon, I think that's something to consider. Now, we've got, in Vedic astrology, we would say like the Sun and Mercury and Venus are all in Shatabishak, or rather Saturn, the Sun, Saturn, and Mercury rather are in Shatabishak, nakshatra of Aquarius. And so this is a time where deep knowledge for medical healing, deep knowledge to get a vision, and to lift our vision beyond the horizon, issues involving water, issues involving floods, also very common in the Shatabishak nakshatra. Okay, so in Western astrology, we'll say we've got a full moon in Virgo. Early Saturday morning, happens at 4:31 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And they say that in Western astrology that Virgo is like the craftsperson and Pisces is the artist. So this could be a really good time this weekend, Friday night, Saturday morning, to bring out beautiful creative displays, to show off your creativity in a really good way. So with that said, the only other thing is that in Western astrology, Mercury is moving into Pisces, or has just moved there. And so that happened on Thursday night around 11:30. And so, now it's Friday and you're looking at this. It's just like, know that communication over the next 4 weeks or so, it's going to be a little bit wonky. And so make sure you get things clear, get things in writing. It's a little different than Mercury retrograde, but it is a debilitated Mercury, at least in the Western system. I think that when Mercury, in another 3.5 weeks, when Mercury's in sidereal Pisces and Vedic Pisces, that debilitation is going to be way more serious. And so, if you want a reading, send me a message and we could work something out together. Otherwise, we are starting right now with you, Aries. So, greetings, Aries, and welcome to your horoscope. Now, with Mars right now, and this is a Western zodiac forecast, Mars, Venus, both being in Aquarius, it is about social movement in your life. But I will make note that in what I've learned from my Vedic teachings is when Venus and Mars are together, it's not like this, there's this bliss, it's a balance between feminine and masculine. It is not. Folks, it is a conflict, they're in a planetary war with each other. And conjunctions are really the most noticeable positions in the sky, of course, that actually have an effect on us. And so it's like, we all need to keep ourselves in check. And Aquarius is going to say, how do we have better behavior with each other socially? Because Aquarius is like the social arena, and how do we cooperate with each other? And sometimes we have to have a pause to get to that place where we have to cooperate. And so that is in your social life. Mars and Pluto still very close together. It's an explosive time, folks. I've heard all these like cyber warnings and things like that. It's like, well, I would say get less dependent on that cyber world if you can, and learn how to do things on a basic level. I think we've become over dependent on what is becoming a horrific monster that is unforgiving and indiscriminate as to the nature of situations, and reports things in a way that may be detrimental to all of us. So Aries, you've got a little bit of shadow energy with Rahu, the North Node, in your first house. Try to bring out the best in this time and be aware of people that are liars and deceivers. Okay, greetings Taurus, welcome to your horoscope. So I'm in your Venus ruled sign. Once again, we're dealing with the whole, conflict between our masculine and feminine energies, between the aspect of getting rid of evil and just being nice, making appearances nice. And you're not really getting rid of evil when appearances are nice, and since we're headed to this K2 ruled full moon this weekend, part of what I'm sensing about this is that we have to get to the root of things, and we need to celebrate the legacy of people that have done really good things. Now, in Western culture, we're really not that much into royalty. We kind of mock it, we make fun of it. But most of us, especially if we're in smaller communities or places where people know each other, we know people in families that we consider they're good families. Most of those people are so good, and we need to celebrate that. And a lot of people, because of population or whatever, aren't having families anymore. And there's like a biological support. There's often said that siblings have kind of psychic energy between each other. They sort of know what's going on with each other. And that can happen even in a relationship with husband and wife. And I think as you're working, like the whole Aquarius time was about your work karma. Now we're in Pisces times is about your social life karma. But since Venus is in your work career karma, this is where you have to do, it's sort of like a cleanup time. How are we going to make things nicer in the workplace, and what you do to help other people, Taurus. That's my forecast for you this week. We're going right over to Gemini. So greetings Gemini, welcome to your horoscope. So, and this is Western sun sign stuff. So Pisces is like the ruler of your 10th house. 10th house is career. 10th house is where we take our karma to the public, the karma of the world. So you're born with special gifts. And where does the 10th house shine? Well, the 10th house shines at midday, at noon. That's when the sun's brightest. So if you're born at midday, you will get at least the sun in your 10th house, in your career house, which is really powerful because it shows you've got leadership and executive ability. If your sun's like you're born at midnight, you'll have stuff where other people won't see it, but you'll have gifts. But because it's in the dark, they'll be unknown. But they'll be unique though, and they'll probably have a lot of depth. But you can't expect the public to necessarily see that. You have to create foundational things within your family to make that work. So this is how rising signs work. You're getting a little preview of that. Should you ever get a reading from me, and the rising sign is really the most powerful. So, for you to be a Gemini rising, a Gemini who's a Gemini rising, you'd have to be born at like 5 in the morning if you're in the northern hemisphere, or something like that, depending on where you live, because the sun's up really, really a long time in Gemini time. And Mercury is moving into Pisces, just moved into Pisces, so it's a debilitated Mercury. So it's like a lot of times you're a Gemini, you're working like a Gemini, it's best not to talk too much at work or say things, because in a lot of ways that communication in Pisces is debilitated in your workplace. So it's like, And, we've got Saturn there, we've got Neptune there, we've got the Sun there. Saturn creates limitations. Neptune can sometimes create confusion. And it can give marvelous spiritual faith and agape love, but it can create illusions, and things can be allegedly seen that aren't even there. And man, with artificial intelligence right now, that reality is something that we're all going to have to get used to and learn how to live with until we find something else that's a lot more honest and not as easy to manipulate. And maybe not get ourselves so dependent on that new technological system. We had old ways of doing things that were really a lot less confusing from what I can tell. But some of you young people, you're born into the confusion, you work well with it, so it's like, I get it. So, but Gemini, it's a lot right now is your public karma, doing the best you can with that, and with, I'd say, Jupiter and Uranus in your 12th houses. Have a good spiritual life that really inspires you. That's going to take you further than any of this other stuff. Well, hello, Cancer, and welcome to your horoscope. Cancer, your water sign. Pisces is a water sign. It's going to be a good week. Moon will be eventually in Scorpio later on in the week, so it'll be water, water, water for you, and so there'll be this empathetic, imaginative, emotional, simpatico kind of experience. This full moon that's coming up, it's in your 3rd house, so that's about siblings, and that's about neighbors and your environment and short trips and working with your hands. And what creative legacy do you have to create? That'd be something I would think about this full moon. Is like, what is your creative legacy, and how are you fulfilling that and bringing that out? And that could be just like a focus for the whole weekend. It's just being creative and creating things. There's a lot of transformation. This is not an easy time to be Cancer, with Venus, Mars, Pluto, all there in the 8th house, deep transformation. But the Sun, Jupiter, Neptune, Mercury, all in the 9th house is like a lot of higher education, a lot of information that's bigger and fresher. And so you can vibe with that. Well, greetings, Leo, and welcome to your horoscope. And so the Sun now is in Pisces, and Pisces is the 8th sign. So, 8th sign away from Pisces means that, from Leo rather, 8 signs away from Leo, there's a lot of transformation, and transformation is change, and this is things that are out of your control. Like, even as I'm doing this horoscope right now, my partner just left, but she's speaking kind of loud, and it's sort of like a distraction while I'm working on the horoscope. And I was like, yeah, that is so 8th house, because 8th house is oftentimes your spouse and their money, and it's other people's money, other people's property, and it's things you don't necessarily have control over. And so for a Leo, it's like, we love having control, believe me. And if you can't admit that as a Leo, you're not paying attention. And or your ego's so big you just don't want to say that. But yeah, we like to have control over things. So, and we're going to lose that control as, the moon goes into Virgo. And the Virgo moon will actually provide wealth. It'll provide sustenance. It'll provide you an opportunity to work with family issues. And those family issues with this full moon are going to be opposite of what's going on with your spouse and other people's property that you're responsible for. So, take a deep breath, put on your big girl pants, your big boy pants, and get ready to move through this week and this period of time. And of course, when the Sun moves into seasonal Aries and, towards the end of March, you'll be doing a little better. All right, greetings, Virgo, and welcome to your horoscope. So, Pisces time for Virgo. Virgo is really like the medicine that's needed in Pisces time, because Pisces, frankly, can be the alcoholic or the drug addict or someone who's a religious fanatic in delusion from all their experience. And one of the things that, I mean, and that's pretty negative. I mean, Pisces people are incredible geniuses like Albert Einstein. They have a great imagination. They can become great artists and musicians. But there's a shadow side to it, and the shadow side is dangerous. Pisces is also kind of considered old age, you know. If we were giving everybody every part of your life, like 7 years for every sign in the zodiac, Pisces would be how you are between the ages of 77 and 84. That's, you know, a lot of people are getting dementia at those ages. Maybe not so much in the olden days, but now the way things are, people are kind of like losing their cookies a lot of times, and there's an element of that in Pisces. And when you're not specific, people don't understand what you're saying. Sometimes people are not specific because they don't want to be misinterpreted, and so if they're misinterpreted from the start, they feel like they've kind of protected themselves. They've protected themselves by being obtuse and less than honest. So the focus for Virgo in Pisces time is to be totally honest and to the point, and make sure that that Pisces person you're talking to is giving you the straight up and not the runaround. You know. Greetings Libra, and welcome to your horoscope. So you're the sign that's supposedly responsible for balance, and you know, in Western astrology, I consider you to be the interior decorator of the zodiac. So it's Venus ruled sun. So, you know, Venus is in Aquarius. This is actually a good sign for you. Venus and Mars in Aquarius, they're in your 5th house. So this is a heart-opening time. This is a time where likely things with your children are going to be very activated. So things involving your children should be paid attention to. You know, maybe they're young adolescents and they're having their first romance, or there could be other problems with getting them to their soccer game or baseball tryouts or whatever else might be going on in their life. And so you have to give that little bit of push to get there. Also, you're facing some kind of health issues that generally need attention. So eating well, you know, eating food that's real, like real vegetables, real fruit. If you're doing animal products that have been pasture raised, not in some stockade of cruelty, and just getting real nutrition, not eating a bunch of sugar, flour, seed oils, and other garbage, which is so prevalent because of capitalism. Being able to you know, economic endurance triumphs over health and care for human beings. So we allow this. Richest country in the world, believe it or not. And you people in Europe, you know all about us here in the United States, our unfortunate allowances of toxicity, GMOs, and all kinds of horrendous things in our food supply here. Okay, turning it over to Scorpio. Now, I mean, Scorpio, you do well with Pisces time. Pisces rules your 5th house. 5th house is your children. 5th house is your creative projects. 5th house is being in your heart, being a teacher, being a performer, being an entertainer, getting back to these things. Your key phrase is I create. Pisces is also a creative sign. Moon will be in Scorpio by, I guess, Wednesday and Thursday, and so you're going to be feeling relatively empowered to do good things this week, and there's going to be a sense of harmony. I mean, I think the times when the Scorpio moon's the best is when the sun is in Cancer or the sun is in Pisces. So this is one of those good times, and both Pisces and Scorpio have this kind of intuitive and really super good imagination that can put the icing on the cake on any creative project. So I would go with that. Venus and Mars, you know, Pluto, all in the 4th house. Good time to sell things you don't need. Deal with fixed assets. Could be moving, could be real estate, could be vehicles, could be your parents too, and ancestors, especially with this Maga full moon coming up. So just helping out with any family issues that come up and arise. Okay, greetings Sagittarius, welcome to your horoscope. I mean, now you can see now at this point, all the grahas, all the planets, they're all in the bottom part of the chart. You know, and that's the part where the sun doesn't shine so much. And so for Sagittarius, this is really a much more introspective time for you where you're working on the groundwork. You know, so Pisces is your fourth house. And Pisces, Jupiter ruled sign like you. So there is some commonality in it, but it's the more feminine version of Jupiter versus, you know, Sagittarius is a more masculine, it's a fire sign. Pisces is a water sign, and water is more about emotions, intuition, imagination. And so this is a good time to stay at home, write in your journal, do things that help facilitate the imagination. It's also a good time when the weather's good enough or not to do some exercise, get yourself in more physical shape because Jupiter's in your sixth house, and Uranus there, and so do things that inspire you. And 80% of getting in shape is your diet. So if you're just exercising and you're not eating like the really healthy foods, you're kind of like, it's sort of like taking 5 steps forward and 4 steps backwards. You're still making progress, but not nearly as much as you would be if you're eating right at the same time. Okay, so greetings Capricorn and welcome to your horoscope. So here we see Saturn in the third house. So third house. What I've noticed in my own culture here in the United States is that a lot of people don't get along with their siblings. That whenever a parent dies or there's inheritance, they fight with each other. There's all kinds of crazy selfishness. And I'm just like, why is it like that? Why can't we support each other? But one of the things I've realized too is that unless you're a more recent immigrant to the United States, you've lost track of where you've been in your roots. And you've lost track of how much sacrifices your grandparents, great-grandparents, or parents made to get you in this situation. So you're disconnected. And that kind of dumbs you down, actually. Our connection with our parents helps make us smarter. They've prepared us for things. And their genes and DNA run through us, and they give us a certain kind of intelligence. And this is so much more important during this week because we're having this weekend tonight, early tomorrow morning, this full moon in the Maga nakshatra. And it's like, you need to honor your parents, folks. You need to honor, and it's like, oh, they don't deserve it. You know what? They had you. And if you are worth something, that mistake they made to have you, well, they're worthwhile for making that mistake to have you. Which isn't, of course, is not a mistake. This is in the biological universe, in the realm of the creator. Creator does not make junk. I'll go with Byron Katie's version of God is reality. And if you don't believe in God, you don't believe in reality. And that's fine. If you don't want to believe in reality, you live in your world. I mean, it is Pisces time after all. So if there was ever a time you could live in unreality, this would be the time. You know, and even Aquarius, you know, in Vedic, we'd say has a lot of fantasy. There's sort of this fantasy world. And that fantasy leads to inventions and good things eventually. But right now we're dealing with reality. Capricorn, you are sort of the reality sign of the zodiac. You've helped usher in the pandemic. Or the damn panic, as I like to call it. But also you prepare us to do good things, to do better things, and to do things that are built to last. So do things that are built to last among your siblings and in your community, among your neighbors. Greetings, Aquarius. Welcome to your horoscope. So, you know, this full moon will be in your 8th house. So, you know, your intuition is going to be up. You might be really sensitive to things as we are, you know, as we go to sleep on Friday night, waking up Saturday morning. You might wake up, you know, at 4:31 when the moon is actually full here, Pacific Coast time, Pacific Standard Time. And, you know, if you're back east, it's already 7:30, you know, if you're on the East Coast. So, you know, you're already, well, I mean, not if you're hungover and party too much, you know, but you'll be awake for the full moon. And so what a wonderful moon set that'll be for you. And if you're over in the Orient, it'll be a beautiful moon rise. And so you've got a lot more energy with Venus and Mars in the 1st house. You've got a lot of energy towards finances and family with Sun and Saturn and Mercury and Neptune all in the 2nd house. Sometimes I say when people have something in the 2nd house, it's like having a talisman. Yeah, and I know there's like some Christian sects and stuff. They don't like people to have rosary beads or things like that. And I'm like, what is so bad about something that reminds you of God or something that reminds you of Jesus, helps you to focus on that? I don't see that as idolatry. I see it as idolatry is when you think the substance, the object, is greater than the God. You know, that's when things flip, and that's where our cell phones become like idols, our laptops become like idols, our cars or vehicles are kind of like idols. You know, the things that we pay attention to in the material world that keep us from that consciousness of the divine love of God. Those are our idols, and that's what we really don't want to be into. We want to get back to the love. We want to get back to the people coming in. You know, it's like people who were supposed to be invited to the banquet. You know, that's what Christ said. It's an invitation. And, you know, it's unfortunately, I've had some experience on social media where people are like, oh, no, you're not doing it right. You're just a new age evil person because you do astrology. I mean, I said, you know what? You know, Satan is the defeater of the brethren. And God never said that you can't look at the stars in the sky and learn about how to navigate the future through the positions of nature. You know, nature is always showing us things, whether birds are flying north again to show us that spring is coming up or the new buds coming in plants. Nature always has signs, and nature bats last, folks. And if you have a religion that ignores nature and you think that that's wrong to pay attention to nature, I would really check myself. Those three wise men were astrologers. They did see the baby Jesus. And yeah, I get it. I've seen the verse in Leviticus, but that verse became your idol. That's the most important part of my walk in Christ, is telling people that they're wrong. You know, that's a really sad excuse. And I love that you're striving towards purity, but I don't think you're inviting people to the table. I think you're turning them off by your own ego of like, I'm following my religion the right way because the Bible says, you know. I mean, really.
Oh dear.
This is an unfortunate thing. I love the Bible, but I also understand that it can be misinterpreted. I even had somebody accuse me of being Satan for knowing the Bible. This is how weird some people in evangelical Christian circles are now. It's like, oh my God. I have to really just like, Lord, how did that happen? So I pray for that person that they feel love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I pray. I think on Instagram his name is Herbaceous or something he goes by. And I was like, wow. He's a baby Christian. You know, he probably doesn't know about the full principle of love. And light will take care of darkness a lot more than saying, there's darkness, darkness, darkness. I mean, law of attraction, folks, if you're going to focus on darkness, you're going to get plenty of it. It's out there. But to bring in the light of love, the light of forgiveness, the light of ultimate truth, consider everything. You know, he who is set free by the Son is set free indeed. He's not obsessed with other people's sins. You know what? Those have been paid for. Move on, move forward, and move in love like a true son or daughter of God. Anyhow, that is all. I know that was pretty preachy of me, and I'm sorry. Greetings, Pisces. Welcome to your horoscope. Everything really here, these grahas are all in your face. So you're kind of like the flavor of the month. And with Jupiter in Taurus, it's like Jupiter rather, in Taurus, it's focused on your siblings and your neighbors and your family, helping them. And be really careful with money and finances right now, because there's a lot of scams out there, and I just see like the scammy salesman side of Rahu, the North Node in the second house. You know, and maybe you have a family member that's not very grounded or suffering from mental illness, and you're having to deal with them. That's really rough. And like, you're the type of person, though, that really tries to bring people back into love. Generally, that's what's in your heart, from what I've observed. But you got a lot of karma with Venus, Mars, Neptune. You're closing gaps. Things can easily be misinterpreted. But, you know, as my lovely girlfriend, Anna Meehan, said, to remind me to think, which is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it naughty? No, that's not it. Is it necessary? Is it necessary? And is it kind? Well, anyhow, I had a lot of fun with that. I had a lot of fun with you being here. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, share. I love you so much. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat.